First, we're going to mix some paint. So I'm going to make all my levels of value at once, or at least 2 or 3. We're going to start with the white, and then we're going to add purple into the white, or whatever color you're using. So my lightest shade will have the least amount of color and the most amount of white. Keep in mind you're sharing your tray with other people, so you need to make enough for at least 2. Now, you will add progressively more purple the darker the darker you get. Just remember, your last value will be pure color, so you do need to leave a spot on your plate where you are not going to be mixing any paint. And because of the process of mixing all of these tints of color, you do not have to wash your paintbrush between colors. You will only need to do that when you're using your pure color during your painting. So I have a value scale here, and I'm realizing I don't have enough purple, so I'm adding a little bit more of my violet so I can get this darker, and I have a deeper range of tints. Now that I have my range of tints, I'm going to apply this to my painting. Keep in mind, I have already taped the edges. I've already drawn the picture. You must tape the edges. That way we have a crisp edge and we're not getting paint onto the table underneath. We want to keep the table clean. So I'm starting with my value first, and I'm going to block in color around my shapes, being very, very careful about the edges of my mountains. If you're using a forest scene for this painting, you want to be careful about painting around your trees as well. So I want to get my crisp edge, and then I'm going to brush back and forth, pulling paint across the paper to get the sky. Keep in mind, when you're painting with acrylics, you want to keep all the paint on the end of the brush. You are not going to dip paint all the way up to the ferrule, which is the metal part of the paintbrush. We want to keep that part clean, because the paint will otherwise get up inside the ferrule and it's going to mess up the paintbrush. And we want these to last for a long time. Now that I'm done with the lightest value, I'm going to get into the next darkest one on my mountain. Again, because of this technique, I don't necessarily need to wash my paintbrush, but I want to make sure that I get most of this light value off before I go into a darker one. Working from lightest to darkest is really awesome because you don't have to wash your brush as much. You don't have to worry about, getting extra white into your color. You can always go darker, but you cannot get lighter. So as we, get into our darker paint, it's okay if we get a little white in there. It's not going to mess it up in the grand scheme of things. Now for this one, notice the paint is still wet on my lightest value, so I'm being very careful getting close to the edge. I don't want to get it smudged. So I'm blocking in the big shapes first, and then I'm going to come in and very carefully get the edge of this mountain. I'm using a flat brush. This is a personal favorite of mine. It's great for getting large areas of color. When I get to the foreground of my painting, I'll start using a round paintbrush so that I can get the details of the tree. But for now, a flat brush is great.